Hare Krishna. 24th of April, 2025, Varotini Ekadashi today. Ekadashi means running very fast to Krishna. This is the meaning of Ekadashi. So I hope you've all had a successful Ekadashi or are having a successful Ekadashi. So we'll begin straight away. I'll offer some pranam, some Mangalacharyan, and then we'll start reading from chapter 2, Adi-lila, chapter 2. Agyan timirandasya, Gyananjala shalakaya, Chakshu unmilitam jena, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Gurave Gauda Chandraya, Radhikaya Tiraliye, Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya, Tada Bhaktaya Namo Namaha. Shri Caitanya Manobhishtam, Shtapitam Jena Bhutale, Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Shvabadantikam. Priya Sarupe, Daita Sarupe, Prema Sarupe, Sahaja Virupe, Nijana Rupe, Prabhueka Rupe, Tatana Rupe, Swavilasa Rupe. Anapita Chirim Chirat Kuruna Vartanokalo, Samarapaitam Unnata Ujjvala Rasam Svabhakti Shriyam, Hari Purata Sundarata Tikatam Vasatipita, Sadahardare Kandare Svaratu Vasachinandanaha. Yam Pravajantamanapetya Krityam Dvaipaina Viraha Katara Ajuhava Putreti Tammayatayo Taravo Vinedustam Sarvabhutam Hridim Munimanatoshmi Bhaktiya Vihina Aparara Lakshay Shiptasya Karmadi Tarangamadye Kripa Maitvam Sharanam Prapana Vrinde Namaste Charanarvindam Bhajami Radham Aravinda Netram Smarami Radham Madhurashmitasyam Vadami Radham Karuna Baradram Tato Mamanasti Katyana Kapi Tavaivasmi Najivami Tvaivina Iti Vignaya Radhe Tvam Naivam Charanantikam. I'm first of all offering millions of Dandavat pranams unto the lotus feet of my most beloved Gurudev, Nitya-lila Prabhishna Om Asto Tarzarashi Shimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And I'm offering the same again millions of times unto the lotus feet of our beloved Nitya-lila Prabhishna Om Asto Tarzarashi Shimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And I'm offering the same again millions of times unto the lotus feet of our dear most beloved Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami Pad, and all the Vaishnavas in our Rupanuga Gaudiya line, and all the Vaishnavas listening, my Dandavat pranams to all of you. Vancha kalpa tarubhyascha, kripa sindhubevacha, patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So continuing with our second chapter. Tuesday we discussed quite a bit about Brahman realization and Paramatma realization, which are of course included in Bhagavan realization. So we need to have these three categories, which are actually one, but we need to break them down and to appreciate each one singularly, because many people will pursue the path of Brahman realization, even not consciously calling it Brahman realization or even knowing it's Brahman realization, but it's going for that impersonal light, that neutral light, without having a focused relationship in affection with the Lord, of service to the Lord. There's no service in that place. It's just myself enjoying. And then Paramatma is a stage further, which the yogi will aspire for. And this is seeing the supersoul in the heart of all. All living beings are equal. This is also somewhat impersonal. I'm seeing all living entities as servants of Krishna, not even servants of Krishna, just as Paramatma, awareness. So this is also somewhat impersonal. So this topic has to be fully grounded to appreciate the next stage, the final stage of Bhagavan, his fullness, his completeness, his vibhuchit, his total absolute nature. So this chapter is titled Lord Chaitanya, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is what we're churning, that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is that Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we'll begin from text 12. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Tanharara Angara Shuddha Kirana Mandal Upanishad Caitanya Brahma Sunirmal. Translation. What the Upanishads call the transcendental, impersonal Brahman is the realm of the glowing effulgence of the same Supreme Person. What is behind the light? We've discussed this. What is the object? What is the source of the light? This is what the sensitive, intelligent person will only want to know. What is the source? Not be distracted by the light itself. 3 mantras of the Mundaka Upanishad, 2.2911, give information regarding the bodily effulgence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's really wonderful to appreciate how Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj himself, he sources so many areas of Shastra. He brings Govinda Lilamrit many times, Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. He's bringing Jiva Goswami Sandarbhas. He's pulling all the Shastras into his presentations. And similarly, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada is doing the same. Here, Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada is giving us quotes from the Upanishads, the Mundaka Upanishad. Everything is grounded in Shastra, fully Shastric. Today we become so lazy in studying Shastra. We just want to go where we feel good. Isn't it? And in general, people, the whole mood is to go where you feel good. Get in touch with your feelings, because it's beyond the gross dimension. It's a higher realm, but still it's abstract. If it's not based on Shastra, it's still kalpana, it's imagination. So now these 3 verses from the Upanishads. Hiranyamaya pare koshe virajam brahmanishkalam tachchubram jyotisham jyotis tadyad atma vido vidur tat na tatra suryo bhati na chandra tarakam nema vidyuto banti kuto yam angi tam eva bantam anubhati sarvam tasya basya sarvam idam vibhati brahmaivedam amritam parastat brahma paschat brahma dakshinatas kotarena adash chodavam cha prastam brahmai vedam vishvam idam paristam. In the spiritual realm, beyond the material covering, is the unlimited Brahman effulgence, which is free from material contamination. That effulgent white light is understood by transcendentalists to be the light of all lights. In that realm, there is no need of sunshine, moonshine, fire, or electricity for illumination. Indeed, whatever illumination appears in the material world is only a reflection of that supreme illumination. That Brahman is in front and in back, and in the north, south, east, and west, and also overhead and below. In other words, that supreme Brahman effulgence spreads throughout both the material and spiritual skies. So the first stage of that Brahman appreciation or light is this impersonal conception. This impersonal conception is only pertinent to this material world. It's described in Jayabhadama in the 16th chapter, that the spiritual realm is made of love alone. So there is no impersonalism because the Supreme Lord is that supreme focus of everybody. Whereas in this world, we've forgotten that focus and we're focusing on ourselves. Therefore, it's impersonal. It's the perverted reflection of that spiritual realm. But we should never lose sight of the nature of the spiritual world. And then I think so many confusions or so much understanding can come if we always hold that premise at heart. That is by love alone, by devotion alone. Bhaktyamam abhijananti yavan yaschasmi tattvadaha. We can only understand. This is the rahasya that we discussed in the Srimad Bhagavatam. This second verse, Rite ritam yat pratiyata na pratiyata. No, it's the verse after that. Yatamahanti bhutani bhuteshu cha aneshan tu. This verse comes after Yatamahanti bhutani. This is the rahasya. The secret of all this devotional process is, in fact, devotional service. Love, service. That's the secret. It eludes so many. Text 13. Karma chakshe deki yache surya nivesha jnana marglaite nara krishnera vilasa. Translation: as with the naked eye, one cannot know the sun except as a glowing substance. Merely by philosophical speculation, one cannot understand Lord Krishna's transcendental varieties. How is it possible? By our imagination. Text 14. Yasya prabha pravavito jagadanda koti shashesha vasuhadi vibhuti binam tad brahmanishkalamanantam ashesha bhutam govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Translation: I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is endowed with great power. The glowing effulgence of his transcendental form is the impersonal Brahman, which is absolute, complete, and unlimited, and which displays the varieties of countless planets with their different opulences in millions and millions of universes. Purport. This verse appears in the Brahma Samhita 5.40. Each and every one of the countless universes is full of innumerable planets with different constitutions and atmospheres. This is one singular Brahman, where we are, with the three planetary systems of Swagaloka, the Earth planet, and the lower regions, the lower planets. This is one Brahman. There are unlimited billions of Brahmans emanating from the pores of Mahavishnu. All of these come from the unlimited non-dual Brahman, or complete whole, which exists in absolute knowledge. Yes, this Brahman is described as having two qualities, Gyan and Vairagya. Gyan is knowledge, Vairagya is renunciation. It's absent in personal qualities. There are 6 qualities: beauty, fame, wealth, and what's the other? Strength. These are very personal qualities. You can't have beauty without an object that's beautiful. You can't have fame without someone who's famous. You can't have strength without an object that is strong. You can't have wealth without someone who is wealthy. But you can have knowledge and renunciation without the personal form. There can be knowledge in a library. We said this the other day. Renunciation actually is like a negative attribute. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur describes these two qualities are attributes of qualities. They're not direct qualities, like beauty or fame. So knowledge and renunciation, this is what it's saying here, which exists in absolute knowledge and also renunciation. The origin of that unlimited Brahman effulgence is the transcendental body of Govinda, who is offered respectful obeisances as the original and supreme personality of Godhead. So this body of Govinda, if we want to understand more deeply, we understand the verse that is described at the very beginning of chapter 1. Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikritya Hladini Shakti Asmad. That Radha and Krishna are one. Ekatmana Apibuvi Deha Vedam Toto. This oneness of Radha and Krishna. So ultimately this effulgence is manifesting from Krishna's Swarup Shakti, this energy. Radha Purna Shakti, Krishna Purna Shakti Man. Due Vastu Vedanai Shastra Praman. Actually they are one, and yet they've separated themselves for pastime. So just to appreciate that point simultaneously. Text 15. Koti Koti Brahmande Ye Brahmera Vibhuti Se Brahma Govindera Hoya Angakanti. Lord Brahma said, the opulences of the impersonal Brahman spread throughout the millions and millions of universes. That Brahman is but the bodily effulgence of Govinda. Text 16. Shri Govinda Bhajayami Te Mora Pati Tanhara Prasade Mora Hoya Shristi Shakti. I worship Govinda, he is my Lord. Only by his grace am I empowered to create the universe. Purport. Although the sun is situated far away from the other planets, its rays sustain and maintain them all. Indeed, the sun diffuses its heat and light all over the universe. This is a beautiful example. Similarly, the Supreme Sun, Govinda, diffuses his heat and light everywhere in the form of his different potencies. His potencies are his Shaktis, his energies are manifesting from Govinda Dev. The sun's heat and light are non-different from the sun. The heat and light are different, yet we can analyze them separately. In the same way, the unlimited potencies of Govinda are non-different from Govinda himself. Therefore, the all-pervasive Brahman is the all-pervasive Govinda. The Bhagavad Gita 14.27 clearly mentions that the impersonal Brahman is dependent on Govinda. So there is personality. The Brahman effulgence has manifested from a personality. It's not impersonal ultimately. It's only a poor lack of knowledge that someone would imagine that the Brahman effulgence is impersonal. They desire an impersonal state of consciousness. They don't desire to make the personal connection, the sambandha. It takes courage to make the relationship. So many don't want to go that route, so they stay stuck in that light, that Brahman effulgence. When I'm saying this, as I've said before, don't think it's just a group of people who are just focusing on the Brahman awareness. It goes into every stage of life. Is someone feeling very happy with themselves, happy with their situation? They've separated many of their relationships separately, etc. They love nature. They love walking among the trees and the ocean and the sunshine, etc. But they're not connecting with the person. Then they're on this path of Brahman realization. They don't even know it, but that is it. The devotees, they can pinpoint it. That is the real conception of absolute knowledge. Text 17. Muneyo vratavasana shramana urdhva mantina brahmakyam dharmate yanti shanta sanyasino mala. Naked saints and sannyasis who undergo severe physical penances, who can raise the semen to the brain, and who are completely equipoised in Brahman, can live in the realm known as Brahmaloka. This is the condition of those who live in Brahmaloka. In this verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 11.6.47, Vata Vasana refers to mendicants who do not care about anything material, including clothing, but who depend wholly on nature Such sages do not cover their bodies, even in severe winter or scorching sunshine. They take great pains not to avoid any kind of bodily suffering, and they live by begging from door to door. They never discharge their semen, either knowingly or unknowingly. By such celibacy, they are able to raise the semen to the brain. Thus they become most intelligent and develop very sharp memories. Their minds are never disturbed or diverted from contemplation on the absolute truth, nor are they ever contaminated by desire for material enjoyment. By practicing austerities under strict discipline, such mendicants attain a neutral state, transcendental to the modes of nature, and merge into that impersonal Brahman. So what a build-up of how great these personalities are, how controlled they are, self-controlled, and yet what is their destination? It's like we've said previously, in such a yuga they would perform such yogic type of austerities, and yet their goal was Paramatma realization. This is described again in the 11th canto, 5th chapter. I'll put a document on the WhatsApp thread about the attainments in the different ages. Even though externally everything was very beautiful, they had these 4 good qualities in such a yuga. Shantaha, completely peaceful. Somaha, not affected by the material modes of nature. Surid, friendly to all living entities. And Niravadaha, no envy existing. These 4 qualities were all pervasive across the planet in such a yuga. And all men were engaged in self-realization process of austerities, like yogis, but their attainment was practically what we've just described. They would become qualified for the impersonal Brahman. Amazing. And today, where we have no qualities, Mandasumanda Matayo, Mandabhagya Uparudita, everyone is disturbed, short-lived, unlucky, unfortunate, etc. This is the atmosphere that we live in, yet we have the highest attainment. The highest conclusion is available to us. This is stunning. This is remarkable. All by the mercy of Sachinandan Gaurahari. So who would not want to glorify that great, great avatar, that Yuga avatar of this age? And this is exactly what we're doing through this Caitanya Caritamrta. Text 18. Atmanantaryami yan... Sorry. Atmayami yanre yoga shastre kaya seha govinda amsha vibhati ye haya. Atmanantaryami yanre yogi shastre. Okay. He who is described in the Yoga Shastras as the indwelling Supersoul, Anta, Atma, Antaryami, is also a plenary portion of Govinda's personal expansion. So we've talked about the Brahman effulgence, now we're talking about Paramatma realization. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is by nature joyful. His enjoyments or pastimes are completely transcendental. He is in the 4th dimension of existence. This is actually called Tulya. We're going to discuss this in a minute. There's the 1st dimension, the gross, and then there's the subtle. Then there's the astral. There's 3 dimensions. Then there's the 4th, which is transcendental. For although the material world is measured by the limitations of length, breadth, and height, the Supreme Lord is completely unlimited in his body, form, and existence. He is not personally attached to any of the affairs within the material cosmos. Someone might think this is impersonal, but actually he's very attached to those devotees who worship him with love. He's not attached to the mundanity or the transitory movements of the world, but those like the father with maybe have many sons. He loves them all, but he's particularly endeared to those who show great affection for him. Krishna is the same. It's all personal. It's not impersonal. The material world is created by the expansion of his Purush avatars, who direct the aggregate material energy and all the conditioned souls. These Purush avatars, they manifest everything. This is what we're going to describe. By understanding the three expansions of the Purush, it means full male personality. There's only one Purush. This ultimately is Brajendranandan Shyam Sundar, and he's manifesting in his various aspects, through the Chatu Vyuha, through Sankarshan, Mool Sankarshan, Mahasankarshan, coming to Lord Narayan, and then Karanadakshay Vishnu, Garbhadakshay Vishnu, Shiradakshay Vishnu. These are all expansions of the Purush. A living entity can transcend the position of knowing only the 24 elements of the material world. Yes, scientists can know the 24 elements of the material world. The yogis can know the 24 elements of the material world. But to transcend that state, that is the devotee. That is one who has understood the object of my devotion. This is what we're describing here. What is the object? One of the expansions of Mahavishnu is Shiradakshay Vishnu. We're going to go from the bottom to the top here. Is Shiradakshay Vishnu, the supersoul within every living entity. As the supersoul of the total aggregate of living entities, or the second Purush, he is known as Garbhadakshay Vishnu. As the creator or original cause of innumerable universes, or the first Purush who is lying in the causal ocean, he is called Mahavishnu. So these three Purush avatars, they're called Purush, that supreme person manifesting. The three Purushas direct the affairs of the material world. These three Purushas, they all have connection with this material world. It's actually described, later on we'll see, how even Karanadakshay Vishnu, Mahavishnu, he has some scent of contamination with Mahamaya because he glances towards her. It's described as some contamination. There's some not defect, but this is his prescribed duty. Nevertheless, that duty takes him into contact with the material energy. So due to that contact, there's the slightest contamination. It'll be described throughout. We need to know all these things to have a clear picture of what is that transcendental reality. When we have that firmly, it'll create gravity within the consciousness. It'll ground us down into the absolute reality of the world we live in, and not any confusion will be there. We need that weight of this Siddhantic understanding and appreciation. The authorized scriptures direct the individual souls to revive their relationship with the Supersoul. Indeed, the system of yoga is the process of transcending the influence of the material elements by establishing a connection with the Purush known as Paramatma. We're discussing Antaryami. We're discussing the Supersoul now. This is the subject matter of this purport and verse. One who has thoroughly studied the intricacies of creation can know very easily that this Paramatma is the plenary portion of the Supreme Being, Sri Krishna. It's the plenary portion. It's not the complete. It's the partial. And we read the other day in my Gurudev's Bhagavad Gita how this is not an eternal functioning form. Where is the function of Paramatma when Paramatma goes back into the body of Mahavishnu, of Garbhadakshay Vishnu, then back into the body of Mahavishnu? Where is Paramatma then? There's no function for him. So there's a time when Paramatma is not functioning. So it's described as not entirely, the function isn't eternal, perpetual. And Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada was describing exactly the same. We just read before. Anantas spartike yache eka surya bhase tyache jiva govindera amsha prakasha prakarashe. As the one sun appears reflected in countless jewels, so Govinda manifests himself as the Paramatma in the hearts of all living beings. This is so beautifully described. We can get a picture of this. Purport. The sun is situated in a specific location, but is reflected in countless jewels and appears in innumerable localized aspects, because the sun seems to be in one particular jewel. It's like when Krishna was wanting the moon that he could see, and then his mother gave him a piece of butter and said, look, the moon is in this pot also. And then Krishna saw the reflection of the moon in the pot, and then mother gave him the milk from the pot. And then he's realizing, oh, this is a reflection. Similarly, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, although eternally present in his transcendental abode, Golok Vrindavan, is reflected in everyone's heart as the Supersoul. How wonderful to appreciate that. The Lord is always there, present in his reflected form as the Supersoul. But this is, if we're trying to get Supersoul realization, like a yogi, we're going to get the reflection of Krishna, not the actual full form of Krishna. Understand? We'll achieve the reflection of Krishna, Paramatma realization. Like the Brahman realization is just the appreciation of his light. Paramatma realization is the appreciation of his reflection within all living entities, like the sun is reflecting in all the jewels. We get that. We don't actually get the source. We don't reach the source yet. The source is beyond both of these conceptions. Similarly, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, although eternally present in his transcendental abode, Golok Vrindavan, is reflected in everyone's heart as the Supersoul. All of these conceptions is absolutely sublime and beautiful, but there's a gradation. If we're blessed with pure knowledge, then we can walk through this progression and come to the highest realm. Mahaprabhu only wants us to come to the topmost limit of understanding these topics. In the Upanishads, it is said that the jiva, living entity, and the Paramatma, Supersoul, are like two birds sitting in the same tree. The Supersoul engages the living being in executing fruitive work as a result of his deeds in the past. But the Paramatma has nothing to do with such engagements. The Paramatma is like neutral, like the reflection is neutral. It's not actually creating sambandha or a relationship. It's neutral. Antaryami, Paramatma, is described as a witness. A witness doesn't have any attachment or detachment. It's neutral. So similarly, Paramatma is neutral. So where can the loving relationship really transpire from that neutral zone, so to speak? As soon as the living being ceases to act in terms of fruitive work and takes to the service of the Lord, the Paramatma, coming to know of his supremacy, the living entity coming to know of Paramatma's supremacy, he is immediately freed from all designations, and in that pure state he enters the kingdom of God known as Vaikuntha. The Vaikuntha realm, what are the number of rasas in the Vaikuntha realm? 2.5. Shantaras, Dasyaras, and a little bit of Sakyaras. We have description from Brihat Bhagavatamrita of Gopkumar when he's traveling through ultimately to Goloka Vrindavan. And he comes to Vaikuntha, and the Lord is being worshipped and honored by everyone in great Aishwarya. Something is lacking in that relationship of Aishwarya. Actually, Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, he speaks about this in a very beautiful essay that was at the beginning of the Rai Ramananda Sangvad, that little book he wrote. He talks about the jiva having something of an inferiority complex. The jiva feels dwarfed by the immensity of the power of the Lord. And in that feeling of inferiority, how can they really be a close, loving, familial relationship? It's a very wonderful relationship just to worship in reverence. Krishna accepts it. He likes it, otherwise he wouldn't have it. So all are worshipping him. He's appreciating that honor and worship. But the worshipper, what sort of relationship does he actually have ultimately? We've heard about Braja Prem, we've heard about Braja Ras. This is ultimately what Mahaprabhu has come to give. He's come to give something way beyond this, but still, we're going through the initial groundwork here. First of all, he enters the kingdom of God known as Vaikuntha, that place without anxiety. The Paramatma, or Supersoul, the guide of the living, of the individual beings, does not take part in fulfilling the desires of the living beings. He doesn't fulfill all the desires, but he arranges for their fulfillment by material nature. He can put us in certain situations where we can connect with that desire that we want to fulfill. As soon as an individual soul becomes conscious of his eternal relationship with the Supersoul and looks only towards him, he at once becomes free from the entanglements of material enjoyment. Because we've transcended this material world, we've come to another level. Christian philosophers who do not believe in the law of karma put forward the argument that it is absurd to say that one must accept the results of past deeds of which he has no consciousness. Just because you don't know it doesn't mean you're not going to suffer for it. A criminal is first reminded of his misdeeds by witnesses in a law of court, and then he is punished. If death is complete forgetfulness, why should a person be punished for his past misdeeds? If death is the end. The conception of the Paramatma is an invincible answer to these fallacious arguments. The Paramatma as the witness of the past activities of the individual living being. Paramatma is always there, scribing our various millions of lives as we go along. A man may not remember what he has done in his childhood, but his father, who has seen him grow through different stages of development, certainly remembers. Similarly, the living being undergoes many changes of body through many lives, but the Supersoul is always with him and remembers all his activities despite his evolution through different bodies. So we are evolving through different species, and ultimately in the human species. In Jivadharma it's described there are 5 stages of consciousness. This Achadita Chaitana is the lowest stage of the trees, very limited consciousness. Then there's Sankulita Chaitana, that's the animals and so on. They have a stunted consciousness. Then there's, Mukharita Chaitana, that's the human pastime. Then there's Vipalisha Chaitana, then there's Purna Vikashita Chaitana. I didn't pronounce these words properly, but we can give you these 5 stages of consciousness. It's to understand the degrees of consciousness within the living entities. They are different, they're distinct, from the trees to the animals, to the humans, then to the higher humans, and then to the highest human. They're all described there. Text 20.
Arto va pahunaitena kim japtena tavarjuna vistarabhyam idam kritsnam ekam sena stito jagat.
Translation. The personality of Godhead Sri Krishna said, "What more shall I say to you? I lived throughout this cosmic manifestation merely by my single plenary portion." That single plenary portion is Paramatma. He's present everywhere. Purport. Describing his own potencies to Arjuna, the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna spoke this verse of the Bhagavad Gita 10:42. Text 21.
Tam imam aham ajyam sarir bhajam hridi hridi dristitam atma kalpitanam Pratitristam iva naikad harakam ekam samadigato shmi viduta veda moha.
Grandfather Bhishma said, as the one sun appears differently situated in different seers, so also do you, the unborn, appear differently represented as the Paramatma in every living being. So the one sun appears differently to different people. But when a seer knows himself to be one with your own servitors, no longer does he maintain such duality. Thus I am now able to comprehend your eternal forms, knowing well the Paramatma to be only your plenary portion. So how wonderful Krishna's Kaviraj is drawing on all these quotes from Shastra, explaining this one point about Paramatma. And Bhishma Dev here, he's telling Krishna, because Krishna's in front of him, he's telling Krishna, now he understands the very personal nature of the Lord. So purport. This verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 1.9.42 was spoken by Bhishma Dev, the grandfather of the Kurus, when he was lying on a bed of arrows at the last stage of his life. Arjuna, Krishna, and numberless friends, admirers, relatives, and sages had gathered on the scene as Maharaj Yudhisthira took moral and religious instructions from the dying Bhishma. Just as the final moment arrived for him, Bhishma spoke this verse while looking at Lord Krishna. Just as the one sun is the object of vision of many different persons, so the one partial representation of Lord Krishna, who lives in the heart of every living entity as the Paramatma, is a variously perceived object. Each are perceiving this differently, even though it's one. One who comes intimately in touch with Lord Krishna by engaging in his eternal service sees the Supersoul as the localized partial representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bhishma knew the Supersoul to be a partial expansion of Lord Krishna, whom he understood to be the supreme, unborn, transcendental form. Bhishma Dev is seeing beyond. It's interesting, it's described in the commentaries here in the Bhagavatam that when Bhishma Dev, he left his body, he was surrounded by rishis and great saints. They had come to see this noble Mahajan, Bhishma Dev. And when he left his body, practically all the rishis and sadhus, they all thought, oh, now he's attained moksha. Now he's attained liberation from this material world, either the Brahman or Paramatma. But actually, he went all the way to Vaikuntha. None of them could understand that at that time. This was just at the end of Dwarpa Yuga. So see historically, what was the condition of men's consciousnesses of what was the ultimate goal. This was just in Dwarpa Yuga. Someone like Bhishma Dev, he attained Vaikuntha, which is such an elevated condition. What to speak of what we have the opportunity to attain, which is way beyond Vaikuntha, which is Goloka Vrindavan. Not that we will attain it in one birth, or even two births, but if our focus is fixed on that conception that I want to be a Palyadasi of Srimati Radhika, then I can go beyond at the time of death to a place where I can be trained more fully in that understanding of what it is to be a servant within, or a maidservant within Goloka Vrindavan. That's a very high step. And Mahaprabhu is giving us that directly. Premras Nirase Karite Vipara, Rag Mag Bhakti Loke Karita. He's giving this Raganuga Bhakti. This is what he's giving today. Text 22.
Sete Govinda Shakshak Caitanya Goshane Jiva Nistarite Ache Dayalu Aranai That Govinda personally appears as Caitanya Goswami. No other Lord is as merciful in delivering the fallen souls.
So now we come to our subject, that this Govinda that we've been describing as Paramatma and the Brahman effulgence, that Govinda is none other than our Caitanya Goswami. Purport. Having described Govinda in terms of his Brahman and Paramatma features, now the author of Sri Caitanya Caritamrta advances his argument to prove that Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the identical personality. This is going to take some convincing of many people to be convinced that Mahaprabhu is that same personality. The same Lord Sri Krishna in the garb of a devotee is Sri Krishna, descended to this mortal world to reclaim the fallen human beings who have misunderstood the personality of Godhead even after the explanations of the Bhagavad Gita. Now we're going to go even beyond Bhagavad Gita. In the Bhagavad Gita, the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, directly instructed that the Supreme is a person, that the impersonal Brahman is his glowing effulgence, and that the Paramatma is his partial representations. We've got that. This is what Bhagavad Gita is describing, this Brahman and Paramatma realization. And it's establishing Krishna as that Aishwarya mood, that supreme person. Just surrender everything unto me. This is the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita. What is it? Sarvadhamam parityaja mam ekam sharanam braja aham tam sarve papyo mokshayishyami masuchaha. This is the final instruction. All men were therefore advised to follow the path of Sri Krishna, leaving aside all mundane isms. Offenders misunderstood this instruction, however, because of their poor fund of knowledge. Thus, by his causeless, unlimited mercy, Sri Krishna came again as Sri Chaitanya Goswami. So Mahaprabhu has come again after Krishna. Krishna spoke this Bhagavad Gita on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. And this mood was carried through for the next 5,000 years through the Alwars in South India. And then Lord Buddha manifested. And then Sankaracharya. And then even the 4 Sampradaya Acharyas manifested. But still, this predominance of Aishwarya Bhav was very much there. It's only when Mahaprabhu appears that he can purify this misconception ultimately. There is another understanding of Krishna in the Madhurya realm, that Madhurya sweetness, speciality. The author of Sri Caitanya Caritamrta most emphatically stresses that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Sri Krishna himself. He is not an expansion of the Prakash or Vilas forms of Sri Krishna. He is the Swayam Rup, Govinda. Apart from the relevant scriptural evidence forwarded by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, there are innumerable other scriptural statements regarding Lord Chaitanya's being the Supreme Lord himself. The following examples may be cited. 1. From the Chaitanya Upanishad 5. Gaura Sarvatma Mahapurusha Mahatma Mahayogi Trigunaititha Sattva Rupa Bhaktim Loke Kashyati. Lord Gaura, who is the all-pervading super soul, the supreme personality of Godhead, appears as a great saint and powerful mystic who is above the 3 modes of nature and is the emblem of transcendental activity. He disseminates the cult of devotion throughout the world. So that's from the Caitanya Upanishad. From the Shvetashvara Upanishad 6.7.3.12. Tam Ishvaranam Paramam Maheshwaram Tam Devatanam Paramam Cha Devatam Patim Patinam Paramam Parashtad
Vidam Devam Bhavanasham Idyam. The Supreme Lord, O Supreme Lord, you are the Supreme Maheshwara, the worshipable deity of all the demigods, and the Supreme Lord of all lords. You are the controller of all controllers, the personality of Godhead, the Lord of everything worshipable. And again, another verse from the Shvetashvara Upanishad. Mahan Prabhu Vaipumsha Sattva Vai Satyasyayvasa Pravataka Surinimalam Imam Praptim Ishano Joiti Avyaya. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is Mahaprabhu, who disseminates transcendental enlightenment. Just to be in touch with him is to be in contact with the indestructible Brahmajyoti. Just to be in touch with Mahaprabhu. From the Mundaka Upanishad 3.1.3. Yada parashya pashyate rukma varanam karataram isham purusham brahmayonim. One who sees that golden-colored personality of Godhead, the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Actor, who is the source of the Supreme Brahman, is liberated. From Srimad Bhagavatam 11.5, 33 and 34, and 7.9-38. Deyam sada paribhav grinam abhistadoham tirtaspadam shiva virinchinutam sharanyam Pratyati ham pranata phala bhavati potam vande mahapurusho te charanaravindam. We offer our respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of him, the Lord, upon whom one should always meditate. He destroys insults to his devotees. He removes the distresses of his devotees and satisfies their desires. He, the abode of all holy places and the shelter of all sages, is worshipable by Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma. He is the boat of the demigods for crossing the ocean of birth and death. Tyaktva sutastyaja suryapshte rajya lakshmin dharamashta Jamashtita Arya Vachasa Yad Agad Aranyam Maya Mrigam Daitya Payashitam and Vadabhabad and Anavavadad Vande Mahapurushete Charanaravindam. We offer our respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of the Lord, upon whom one should always meditate. He left his householder life, leaving aside his eternal consort, Vishnupriya, whom even the denizens of heaven adore. He went into the forest to deliver the fallen souls, who are put into illusion by the material energy. Prahlad said, Itam niritraya grishi deva jasa vatarayai lokan vivayasya hamsi jagat Pratipan Dharamam Mahapurush Pashi Yugan Nuvritam Chana Kalo Yad Abhavas Triyugo Tat Satvam. My Lord, you kill all the enemies of the world in your multifarious incarnations, in the families of men, animals, demigods, rishis, aquatics, and so on. Thus you illuminate the worlds with transcendental knowledge. In the age of Kali, O Mahapurush, you sometimes appear in a covered incarnation. Therefore you are known as Tri-yuga, one who appears in only 3 yugas. Because Mahaprabhu is appearing in the covered avatar, this is not counted as one of the particular formal avatars. So it's called Tri-yuga, not including Mahaprabhu. 5. From the Krishna Yamal Tantra Punya Chetra Navadvipe Bhavisyami Sachisutaha. I shall appear in the holy land of Navadvip as the son of Sachi Devi. From the Vayu Purana, Kalo Sankirtanam Rambe Bhavisyami Sachisuta. In the age of Kali, when the Sankirtan movement is inaugurated, I shall descend as the son of Sachi Devi. From the Brahma Yamal Tantra, Atavarham Taradame Budva Madhbhakta Rupadrik Mayam Cha Bhavisyami Kalo Sankirtanagame. So I said at the beginning how wonderful it is that Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj is sourcing so many supportive shastric evidences for what he's saying. We see our beloved Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada is doing exactly the same. Sometimes I personally appear on the surface of the world in the garb of a devotee. Specifically, I appear as the son of Sachi in Kali Yuga to start the Sankirtan movement. From the Ananta Samhita, Ya eva Bhagavan Krishno Radhika Pranavalabha Shristya Dosa Jagannatho Gauda Asin Maheshwari. The Supreme Person, Sri Krishna himself, who is the life of Sri Radharani and is the Lord of the universe in creation, maintenance and annihilation, appears as Gaura, O Maheshwari. So, such an abundance, a treasure of supportive evidence that this son of Sachi, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is that same Govinda that we've been describing up to date, the same possessor of that Brahman effulgence, the same personality who is the supersoul within all living entities, that Mahapurush, that personality is none other than Sachinandan Gaurahari. So Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj is systematically walking through the absolute vital evidence that is needed to present Mahaprabhu as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is so erudite, so gifted by the Lord, by Madan Mohan, to present this philosophy absolutely conclusively. We have, in contrast, the Chaitanya Bhagavat, which beautifully brings out the pastimes and sweetness and speciality of Krishna's, of Mahaprabhu's Leelas in Navadvip principally. But the shastric support and evidence is only found here, most available in the Caitanya Caritamrta. I described to you the other day, this is why Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada chose this book to present to his Western audience rather than the Chaitanya Bhagavat, because this is more conclusive ultimately. Text 23. Paravyameta vyasa narayana nama sad aishwarya purna lakshmikanta bhagavan. Lord Narayan, who dominates the transcendental world, is full in 6 opulences. He is the personality of Godhead, the Lord of the Goddess of Fortune. Veda Bhagavata Upanishad Agama Guna Tattva Yandra Kahe Nahi Yandra Sama. The personality of Godhead is He who is described as the ultimate whole in the Vedas, Bhagavatam, Upanishads, and other transcendental literatures. No one is equal to Him. Again, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj is going to take it deeper. Purport. There are innumerable authoritative statements in the Vedas regarding the personal feature of the Absolute Truth. Some of them are as follows. From the Rik Samhita 1.22.20, Tad Vishnu Param Padam Sada Pashyanti Suryaha Daivya Chakshush Atatam. The personality of Godhead Vishnu is the absolute truth, whose lotus feet all the demigods are always eager to see.
Like the sun god, he pervades everything by the rays of his energy. He appears impersonal to imperfect eyes. Imperfect eyes. What is the imperfection? The desire to enjoy separately from the Lord. This is the imperfection. 2. From the Narayana Atava Shira Upanishad 1-2.
Narayana Deva Samutpadyante Narayanat Paravantante Narayana Praliyante Arata Nityo Narayana Narayana Evadam Sarvam Yat Utam Yakchak Bhavyam Shuddho Deva Ako Narayano Na Divityo Sti Kaschit.
It is from Narayan only that everything is generated, by him only that everything is maintained, and in him only that everything is annihilated. Therefore Narayan is eternally existing. Everything that exists now or will be created in the future is nothing but Narayan, who is the unadulterated deity. There is only Narayan and nothing else. 3. From the Narayan Upanishad 1-4.
Yata Pashuta Jagata Pashute.
Narayan is the source from whom all the universes emanate. 4. From the Sirsha Pancharatra.
Paramatma Hare Deva.
Hari is the Supreme Lord. From Srimad Bhagavatam 11.3, 34 and 35.
Narayanam Abhidus Haranyas Asya Brahmana Paramatmanaha Nishtam Artha No Vaktum Yuyam Hi Brahma Vitamaha.
O best of the Brahmins, please tell us of the position of Narayan, who is also known as Brahman and Paramatma. So we have to make these distinctions.
Stitya Udbhava Pralaya Hetu Ahutur Asya Yatspapna Jagara Shushuptishu Sad Vihischa Dendriyashu Hridayena Trayani Charantiyena Svajivatani Tad Avihe Param Narendra.
O king, know him who is causeless and yet is the cause of creation. He is without cause, and yet he is the cause of creation, maintenance and annihilation. He exists in the 3 states of consciousness, namely waking, dreaming, and deep sleep, as well as beyond them, even beyond that, in the 4th dimension, Tulya that we mentioned. He enlivens the body, the senses, the breath of life, and the heart, and thus they move. Know him to be the Supreme. So we'll stop here today. This is a bucket of Siddhanta, most sublime and cooling on the consciousness to hear it so beautifully elucidated by these powerful personalities, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj and Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. We are so fortunate to have this Grantha, this Caitanya Caritamrta. This is the wealth of the devotees entirely. This is the PhD after the Srimad Bhagavatam. We should have absorbed the Srimad Bhagavatam before we come to this Caitanya Caritamrta. But if you haven't, you should be pulling the Srimad Bhagavatam up as we go along and be also becoming more aware of the truths there. But this Caitanya Caritamrta is going to open up the entire truth. So we'll discuss tomorrow from verse 25. Shri Caitanya Caritamrta ki jai, Ananta Kota Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol, Go Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhuvevacha, Patitanam Pavanibhyo, Vaishnavibhyo, Namo Namaha.